guys want to stay up to date with my exclusive videos, make sure that you click the bell on the side to get notified. Here's the video. Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Bonner here, Overtime Athletes. Today's video, I kind of want to share with you guys a little bit about sport-specific training and how I progress sport-specific training. Now, some people absolutely love and swear by creativeness with their sport-specific training and solely focus on that style of workouts. Some guys focus more on the actual complex movements and say, let me get this athlete, you know, bigger, faster, stronger, and it's going to carry over to sport-specific movements. I myself say, hey, each athlete is obviously, you know, has a different route. I know I sound like a broken record when I say that, but you can't put every athlete in a vacuum. But I do believe each athlete should progress to some kind of sport-specific training. Let me explain why. Let's take, for instance, that we're teaching an athlete to squat, and we build absolute strength in that squat pattern. So they go from 300 to 400 pounds. What you then want to do is you want to start to utilize that hip extension and those muscles associated. So think about the squat. What are you working when you're actually programming a squat with that athlete? For instance, if I have a basketball, football, or baseball player, I obviously want to be able to, you know, utilize that stability that's induced or, you know, stressed through that loading the axial spine. Then I want to be able to utilize obviously the lower back, the glutes and hamstrings, and obviously the quads as well as you perform that hip extension. It's very synonymous with how you move when you sprint or when you jump, okay? So you're actually already transferring it over, but all we're talking about when we go sport specific now is we want to compartmentalize certain movements so that they can then transfer that over into the body control or the likeness of those movements that they're going to utilize on the field. For instance, I just got done one of my training sessions with Bo. You guys have seen he's an infielder. There's some things that I'm trying to use. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and have baseball practice with him. I'm not going to sit here and analyze that because that's not what I do. I'm best at trying to produce force, get him to generate as much force and absorb as much force, and I know that's going to make him a better athlete. So after we perform a series of, or progress him through a series of squats, lunges, things of that nature in different planes of field, I'm going to then, as I'm starting to send him off, I'm going to then start to implement some aspects of his game that he could then utilize with a touch of resistance and adding the weight room in here. So for instance, as you can see in this drill, we have a medicine ball toss. These are movements that he performs in his lower body. Am I trying to get him better at throwing the ball or accuracy or precision? No. All I'm trying to do is have him resist a little bit more with this 10-pound medicine ball and have him essentially perform the same movements with his lower half, but now he's up against a little bit of resistance. So we all know when you throw a ball or you actually swing a bat, you're obviously utilizing power and you're generating force. All I'm doing by adding the 10-pound medicine ball is making him generate a little bit more force and have a little bit more body control as he couples those movements. So as he's utilizing force from the lower body, transferring it up through the torso, now he has to use a lot more force because he's using a medicine ball. So anytime that you implement any kind of sport-specific movements, I say compartmentalize it so it actually mimics what they're actually doing, and you're continuously progressing that athlete from the compound movement that you do, such as, for instance, I'm using today as a squat or deadlift or something like that, to essentially elevating them to be able to then transfer that motion, right, or all that stimulus you applied to that body over the course of the off season and actually start to move with a little bit more resistance. I often challenge you guys, one thing that you guys want to check out, and it's a principle within strength and conditioning, is the force velocity curve. Go ahead and take a look at that and you'll see exactly how I progress my athletes through the off season. I start with absolute strength, stability, structure, make sure their joints are aligned, everything like that. And then I'm going to progress to strength, speed, power, speed, strength, and then ultimately as fast as we can possibly go. So I challenge you guys to continuously look through that and you'll see a lot of my movements, and that's why a lot of the guys, when they end up going and touching that bat or that baseball, they feel a lot more power and that velocity continues to increase. I always say this, try it out for yourself, okay? I'm not, you know, I'm nothing, but numbers don't lie. All I care about is if my guys' velocity are continuously changing by the methods that I'm using, then I'm doing something right, and the stimulus that I'm applying is continuously supporting them. So If you're an athlete that needs to utilize a little bit more sport-specific training, meaning some kind of resistance into some kind of motion in what you're doing in your sport, do it. I'll only add one more thing. When it comes to precision, don't add resistance. If you're shooting a basketball, if you're actually throwing, you don't want to add resistance. Don't use anything weighted because it's going to mess up your technique. Holla at you next time. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in becoming a better athlete, whether that be sprinting, jumping, strength, or overall looking like an athlete, go ahead and click the box here on my side and make sure that you subscribe to my videos here so I can keep sending them to you. Holler.